So it's great to be back here at Brockton Cable Access Television with Michelle Hebsche helping me out today. I'm John Buckley. I'm the Register of Deeds for Plymouth County. We like to talk a little bit about what's going on in the Plymouth County marketplace. This is a show about real estate. Our headline is Sales Continue to Rise with an Interest Rate Reduction on the Horizon. And that should be tomorrow at the time of the taping of this show. We're going to be talking about the recordings for the month of August. This being taped in the month of September. I have a great guest coming on in the second segment, Barry Hurst of Coldwell Banker, and then we'll talk about some of our great Plymouth County and Plymouth Colony history. So let's go right to the numbers. You're going to see a bar chart of deeds. The numbers were up in August over July. 756 deeds, meaning 756 sales of property, more than the 696 in July, down 2% from last year, and down 4% year to date. The average sale price is very high, low inventory, high interest rates, not a lot is moving, but the average sale price for the month was $693,080. Plymouth County is very diverse, a lot of different communities. You're going to see a chart of all these sales of property from Abington down to Whitman, 26 towns in one city. Plymouth and Brockton have the highest activity, but every town has had sales. Next, you're going to see a bar chart of mortgages. They've also been going up. 1,264 mortgages recorded in August, more than the 1,237 in July. However, 16% less than last August, and year-to-date down 3%. You're also going to see a bar chart of foreclosure deeds. We've tracked foreclosure deeds very closely since the meltdown in 2008. There was a freeze on during COVID, a moratorium, so the numbers are still very, very low. They haven't caught up. Only 7 foreclosure deeds throughout all of Plymouth County for the month of August, a little less than the 11 in July, but 30% less than last year at this time. You're also going to see a bar chart of a foreclosure notice. A foreclosure deed usually means that someone has taken back property, usually the lender, and usually for failure to pay, and it could be a job issue, health issue that caused the problem. But if you're in difficulty, reach out to a federal housing counselor as soon as you can to try to save your home. Don't be shy. The worst thing to do is to wait and get embarrassed about it. Just reach out to a federal housing council like NeighborWorks. There were 52 foreclosure notices in August, more than the 42 in July. So we're seeing a trend going up. And if you're one of those people that are having difficulty, I'll say it again, don't wait, reach out and try to help yourself. You're also going to see a listing of foreclosure deeds and notices. As you can see, there are a lot of zeros there because the market, from the perspective of the lenders, just haven't gotten caught up with it. There is a pretty big number there this month for Brockton. The orders of notice for the city of Brockton were 21, and that is a pretty significant number from where we've been over the past couple of years. So if you're one of those people, reach out. Also, if you're concerned about fraud alert, which a lot of people are concerned about these days, you can go onto our website, PlymouthDeeds.org, go to resources, and you'll see fraud alert. That allows you to enter your information, your name and your email, and if something gets recorded against your name, you'll get an email. Now, if your name is John Smith, you're going to get a lot of emails. But it's also a good opportunity to look and see whether it applies to you. And if it's something like a mortgage discharge, that's okay. That's what you want to have happen. But if it's something more concerning, that gives you a heads up to take some action on it. Beware of scams, mailings. They try to charge you a lot for your deeds. You get a copy of your deed for $1 a page at one of our satellites in Brockton, Rockland, and Plymouth, or main office in Plymouth. And coming up on my next show is Barry Hurst of Coldwell Banker, a repeat guest who will be talking about the current state of the real estate market. Thank you. So welcome back to the Register's Report. Again, my name is John Buckley, and I have a great repeat guest with me today, Barry Hurst of Coldwell Banker.
Correct, yeah.
And you've been a guest many years ago.
Sure.
And we were talking real estate changes different years.
Yeah. This is my 38th year, so I've seen them all.
Wow.
I started in '87.
Oh, you saw all the cycles.
Full time, and I've seen them all. And
Yeah.
I've seen the bad ones.
Yeah.
And when I was in Brockton, when they had a bad name,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
it turned it all around. And
Yeah.
I remember one year I sold 45 houses
Wow.
in 1 year, but there were prices like 79,000.
Oh yeah,
and
different time.
Yeah, sure.
So why don't you just tell your viewers a little bit about how you got into the real estate business?
I graduated from Suffolk University and with a business management degree, and everyone always said that I should be in sales and everything. So I took the real estate course just to take it and everything, but I never looked for other job. I got into real estate I went to a couple of interviews that I had, and the first one closed me. That was Century 21 over in Avon.
Wow.
So he closed me right away. I didn't have a chance to say yes or no, and I'm like, so I chose it. So I had to do good. I remember the first year my mother said, you should get out of the business. You're not making any money. You're spending money. But I said, no, I can do this. I know I can. So I started getting good at prospecting and everything and making calls. I wasn't afraid to make calls, and I did my Brockton area, which
Good.
I love Brockton.
Good.
You know, been here 63 years.
Wow.
And plan on staying a few more years anyways. Yeah.
So and what about Coldwell Banker? Where do you work out of?
That's out of Sharon.
Okay.
But that's just Sharon. I concentrate in the Brockton area.
Okay,
That's my
okay.
main place.
Good. So how have you seen the market lately? It's a little.
Wow.
We talk about different cycles.
Sure.
And,
Yep.
you know,
I've
what
seen
have you
them all.
seen lately? What's that?
I've seen them all.
I'm sure you have. Yeah.
Probably twice now. But the market right now, it's like still low inventory, not enough inventory. You don't have a lot of buyers, and you have a lot of problems because the interest rates are high right now, and the buyers, they want them to pay the commission, which is really crazy.
It's a big change.
But it doesn't really have to be that way. There's different ways to get around it and everything. So
Yeah.
if anyone has any questions about that, they can feel free to call me or ask me, and
that
I'll
was
be
a
more than happy to
settlement
help
with
them
the
out.
National Association of Realtors.
Yeah.
I still don't understand why they did it.
Yeah.
Understand.
I don't either, but the only one that made money on that was the attorneys.
Yeah.
They made $250 million.
On the lawsuit.
Everyone else is getting, all the other people are getting like $55 or $155,
And I've
which
seen
is
a lot
crazy.
of closings. I'm not sure, where they're gonna. I guess you can negotiate
Yeah.
for percentages, but other than that, I don't really
Yeah.
see it.
I'm going to make my buyers, when I deal with the buyers, I'm going to explain the whole thing to them
Right.
and tell them they don't really have to do it. They listen to me,
Yeah.
and go into everything and just explain to them how we can get around it and everything.
So
Because-
in this kind of marketplace, there'll be buyers watching us today, potential buyers. What would you tell them how to get ready to buy a home?
Just keep your credit good, keep making your payments and everything, and that's basically it. Right now with the market being the way it is, there's not as much competition as there was before, even though there's low inventory. Before, you put on a house and you have an open house, you'd have 60 people in there, you'd have 25 offers. I had one first-time buyer that was looking for a house, put an offer in 4 times, $65,000 over asking price, didn't get it until the 5th one.
Wow.
Had another one in Bourne, $100,000 over asking price. And the seller was giving us all kinds of trouble. He wanted to take the offer, but it was crazy. And it was just everything at the seller's, request. But right now you see it's low inventory, so we're still getting a little bit higher over asking price too. But we're not having as many offers. Before, my buyers used to feel real pressured because you'd go into an open house, you'd see 60 people there.
I can imagine.
Everyone's there, and you don't know what to do.
Lined up.
Yeah, and when you put
And
the offer in,
cash buyers were chosen.
Right. Well, it depends, because in this market there was a lot of people going way over asking price.
Okay.
Even in Brockton, the California ranches, you put those down low. You don't put them up high where the value is. And then you had people overbidding on all of them, and you wouldn't believe the prices they were getting on them. It was crazy. I'm like, I've never seen it like that.
So basically you're saying persistence,
Yep.
stay with it, and you'll
Right.
find something.
Yep. And that's another thing. You're exactly right. I had to, nurse my buyers because they were getting frustrated. They wanted to get out of the market because every time they put an offer in, they like the house, they can't get it. But I just, held their hand, got them through it, and they were happy that they did. And now they're building up equity.
Yeah. So let's talk about if your potential customer is a seller, what would you tell them to be prepared to sell?
Right now, it's like, still they write the book. Whatever they want, they can do.
And minor prep stuff, that's all you need to do.
Right. And the reason why there's low inventory, because I do a lot of cold calling and everything, and speak to a lot of people, their main concern is, where am I going to go when I sell? And you tell them, if they're thinking about retiring or whatever, but, it's just a tough time because people got so much equity, the sellers, but they don't know what to do with it, and they don't want to start getting another new mortgage and everything and not knowing what the market's going to be. So that's why those people are just staying still.
Yeah, I can imagine there's a lot of people frozen that are ready to downsize or upsize if they're getting a bigger family.
Right, yeah.
And the whole market's pretty much frozen.
It is.
And what's going to break the freeze?
Probably when the interest rates come down a little more.
Okay.
It will bring some more buyers in, and the inventory, and maybe people retiring, like wanting to go to Florida or somewhere else, want to put their house on the market, and they're downsizing, and a lot of reasons.
One of the things I mentioned earlier in the show is that tomorrow, at the time of the taping of this show, the Federal Reserve's meeting is going to make its first reduction in a long time.
Right.
A small reduction, we
Right.
expect.
Yep. But anything counts in this market.
Good.
It's a different market. It was an unbelievable market. It was a market that, to be honest with you, I didn't like being a realtor because
And it was only 2 years ago.
Right.
During COVID.
Right. And it's just, you knew when you sent your buyer over there to the open house that they were going to call you, that they're going to want to put an offer in, but then you got to explain to them. And I don't like to tell them what price to put in for an offer, but if they don't put in a certain price, they're not even going to be considered.
Right.
And even if they do put in a price, and then you got people that want you to not take the home inspection, which I always tell my people to take it, because I've seen a lot of nightmares, by not taking it. So I wouldn't put that clause in there if I was them, no matter how much they like the house.
Definitely been a lot of people that have gone forward without a home inspection just because they want to get in the house.
I've had a lot of people like that. Like the one that was $100,000 over asking price, but that one, when you're paying that much money, it was on for like $850,000, and $100,000 is not much. But you're just thinking about, it didn't need any work. You could see it, but some of the houses these first-time buyers are getting, I definitely don't say, get a home inspection for every time.
Yeah, so let's talk about first-time buyers. I very much feel bad that we're in a marketplace. I saw a survey recently. 2/3 of people renting believe they'll never own a home. Yeah. And that's sad.
It is sad, but it's true right now, the way it's going. It's like renting's more expensive than buying a house. But these people can't get into the houses because... But hopefully there'll be some more government programs or something to help these people because they work hard, they save, but with the cost of living right now is ridiculous. You go to Shaw's and you buy a few items, you're up to $75, you know?
So
And-
get your credit score.
Yep, make sure you keep your credit, you know, good and everything, and just put away anything that you can.
Do
and
you advise to do a first-time home buyers class at all?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Anything they can get, you know, to get it better, you know, for
the-
their
at
terms,
the edge.
I would definitely say, you know, to do it.
And try again.
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to do it. Never
Right.
give up.
Right,
You know, just
right.
like I told these people, never give up on the offers. You know, they put 4 in, they finally got it. You know,
So with your 38 years experience in the business, how do you see it going over the next few months?
oh, the market. I see it going how it is right now.
Yeah.
You know, we're still getting offers on things, and we're getting multiple offers. But when I say multiple offers, I mean maybe 2 or 3, not like 20 and you know, like that. But that's pretty much it. You know,
Yeah.
it's going to be a good market still.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not like it was crazy when you had the open houses. You had 60 people show up, and you know.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting because I don't really know where we're going, whether this 0.25 reduction or maybe 5, but
Yeah.
most likely 0.25 is going to do much, but it may get people's interest.
It will
may-
get some people
make people
in.
feel better about it.
Yeah, it will get some people back in, you know. And with the buyers, you know, out there and inventory, that's the main thing. It's always been inventory. If you don't have a lot of inventory, supply and demand, you know how that works, you know.
So you've done this for 38 years.
Yes.
What do you like best about your job?
I've met so many people, you know, and I love people anyway. I know a lot of people say that, but I am a people person. I meet people and I love everybody. It doesn't matter who you are. When I first got into business, when I was at Century 21, I had a lot of Haitian people,
Okay.
and that was the greatest. I met so many people, and I love it, and they're very nice and everything, you know. It's just, I like working with people.
Right. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. And
Oh, anytime. I was
sharing your
shocked to see your
perspective.
name. I'm like, John Buckley? I'm like, what's he
Yeah.
calling me for? Do I owe dues or
No,
something?
no. When you put yourself on Facebook,
Yeah.
there's a danger somebody's going to call you.
Yeah, I know. I had one of my old clients call me up, and he's thinking about 2 properties in Wareham and one in Marion to
Yeah.
to be a cash buyer and everything. So I was working on that too. So
It's always great to see you.
yeah, hopefully we'll see you
Keep
again.
up the good work.
You too.
Okay.
Thank you very
Great,
much.
Great. So let's roll right into our third segment. In this segment, we always try to do something lighter in nature. We always talk about some of our great county and colony history, and we have a lot of each. So this month, there are a number of holidays. And we're going to get right to our Plymouth County records. Cottage Park in Plymouth was the world's largest rope maker. They're celebrating their 200th anniversary this year. A man born in Plymouth started this with local investors using ropes and cords for the marine market. And they developed these long rope walks, 220-degree hot tar hemp rope, and they were part of the Industrial Revolution back in the 1900s. At the time, most commerce traveled over the ocean. It was easier to get from port to port than from place to place over the roads. Therefore, sailing ships that used these cords were very abundant. And one thing about the Cottage Company is they were very good to their employees. They were what was called a company town. They built housing for their employees nearby. They had education for the employees on site. And they had health benefits and other benefits for employees in their building. Very unique operation. There were some of that in that era, and you wonder whether that was a very good way for people to work. A lot of them were immigrants from Italy that settled in North Plymouth. But as a lot of things move on, and after 141 years of operation, Cottage Company ended. Buildings are still there. It is now the site of the Cottage Commerce Center, and they're building a lot of housing around it. It was designated a growth district by Governor Deval Patrick, and as you see, there are restaurants and wedding sites and rental spaces within that building. Next, with everyone going back to school, we like to highlight one of our favorite places, the Forest Ave School, known as the Little Red Schoolhouse, originally located corner of Forest Ave and West Street. It was a 2-room public schoolhouse and remains on the site of Brockton High School. It was scheduled for demolition, but people saved it, and it is now a historic museum and is used for educational activities, and in particular, for many, many years, it was used for the finals of the citywide spelling bee, a competition in which Brockton school children participated in annually. It is listed on the Register of Historic Places. It is managed by the Little Red Schoolhouse Association. In the last Plymouth County record, as we're getting into the election season, and a lot of people wouldn't know it, but when you drive down Route 106 in Halifax, and you see, if you're going from Brockton to Plymouth, you see on your right the Halifax Council on Aging. That originally was a tavern, a stopping point between Brockton and Plymouth and other communities. It was called Pope's Tavern. Thomas Pope was a captain in the Revolutionary War, and he had a tavern across the street from Halifax Town Hall in the Congregational Church. Many people were frequent visitors there, including Senator and Attorney Daniel Webster. But it's famous for politics because in 1830, they had a Republican congressional convention in the tavern, and John Quincy Adams was nominated to be the congressman for that part of Massachusetts. And it was unique because John Quincy Adams, as many people know, was one of our first presidents. When he lost the presidency, he went back and served locally in Congress. He actually died in his seat in Congress, but he had lost the presidency to Andrew Jackson in 1828, and he's the only American president to later serve in Congress. Halifax is known as the heart of Plymouth County. It's a great little building if you have a chance to go in there. It was later used as a private home, sold to the town of Halifax, and is, as I said, used for the Halifax Council on Aging. And last but not least, our Plymouth Colony record, which we do every month since the Plymouth 400. There were great restrictions in Plymouth Colony at the time. It was a very place that was fragile. The economy was fragile. So they passed a law, if you wanted to move your livestock out of the colony, you had to first offer it for sale. In this case, in 1641, Nehemiah Smith wanted to move out of town and bring his sheep with him. They told him he couldn't. He actually had to offer his sheep for sale first, and he had to offer them for 40 shillings apiece, or if they were lambs, smaller sheep, they could be sold for 20 shillings. So before he could bring them and settle elsewhere, he had to offer them back into the colony. So our Plymouth Colony records are fascinating. They tell the history of the development of our country. A lot of things like the first right to trial by jury in America and things like that, first land record, were all contained in the Plymouth Colony records. The Colonial Court made a lot of great decisions, and we happen to have those on the second story of the Plymouth County Register of Deeds in Plymouth on Overy Street, and can be viewed upon appointment. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to share information about people's home. For most people, it's the most valuable asset. Thank Barry Hurst for the great job he did in describing the real estate market. And we'll see you next month, in the month of October. So have a great beginning to the fall.